Welcome to episode 7 of Mitts Off. Pretty cool to have one of my former teammates from the Stockton Heat, Calgary Flames forward Andrew Mangiapane in studio today. Truly one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League and one of the best underdog stories in hockey. Mitts Off is powered by Sports Interaction, our exclusive betting partner. Get in the action, download the app, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. What an absolute pleasure for me and for us as a team here to have in one of the definitely most underrated and talented players in professional hockey. He opened my eyes when I had the chance to play with him on what a guy he was and the type of player and what he brought to the table. Happy to welcome in Calgary Flames forward Andrew Mangiapane.
Thank you for having me.
So what's up, buddy? It's been a while. How's everything going? Summer's coming to an end here, and I know you had a little off-season surgery. So how you doing? How's everything going?
Yeah, summer's been, I guess, going by quick. Just doing a lot of rehab for, I guess, my shoulder. I was laughing because I remember your shoulders were all kind of banged up and mangled, and yeah, I remember that in Stockton, and then. Couple years later, now I'm having the same surgery that I guess you had. So I mean, but it's good, and then just a lot of rehab and physio, and I got it done in Vail, Colorado. So going there to see the surgeon, and doing all the kind of the steps to
all
get back
those
to play.
Checkpoints,
Yeah.
Was it bothering you a lot last year, like from time to time before you eventually like made the decision to have the surgery? I would assume that there were a lot of incidents that happened before you came to that decision.
Yeah, I think it happened, I'd say, pretty early, first couple of games. Just kind of kept, I guess, slipping out, right? Just like the sublocks, right? Yeah. So I'll go down, fall to brace, and then it would kind of slip out, and whole kind of arm would get numb, and you know the feeling, and you're kind of getting it back, and you're slowly moving it. But it was weird because it happened whatever early on, and then it wouldn't happen for a couple of games, and then it happened for game 7, game 8, game 9, and then it would stop for 2 weeks, and then game 14, 15, 16. It kept subluxing, right? So it just kind of kept coming and going, and my strength was always there, and mobility was always good. But it was painful and kind of sometimes stiff some days. But even myself and my trainer were kind of shocked at the end of the year because we kind of thought everything was going as planned. I was doing a lot of the band work.
Oh yeah, the internal, external, buddy.
Doing all that, this way, everything, right? So I was keeping up to it, right, and building my strength, and then. Yeah, they got an MRI just for kind of precautionary reasons at the end of this season, and then turns out I needed shoulder surgery. So it was a little bit of a weird season, but yeah, definitely something that I guess I needed to get done, and I'm happy that it's kind of in the past, and I could just kind of focus on this year kind of being 100% healthy. Yeah.
Any challenges for you mentally on that in terms of, I don't know, the repetition of doing the rehab, or, maybe a little hesitancy coming back into full contact and doing everything coming into camp?
Yeah, it's a little bit of kind of a grind throughout the whole summer, right? You kind of maybe have some plans. I had a kind of vacation to go on, and things just kind of, you put those on the back burner and just kind of just worry about your physio, right? That's all it really was for me kind of this summer, and just kind of training and getting back to play and trying to maintain my cardio and everything, because I wasn't really allowed to skate for 2.5 months, and that was probably the longest time I think I've probably ever been off the ice, right?
Long time, eh?
Yeah, so it's a little different kind of summer, but yeah, I'm just happy to go back to training camp in a couple of weeks and just be with the guys, get on the ice, and just get all the reps in and just really gear up for the start.
Training camp last year, I think we were getting the season going by about that time. I was getting my feet wet in the world of sports media and going over some rosters, especially in the Western Conference, as I do a lot of Flames and Oilers games. And to be honest, I had you guys really high up in the West. I loved the makeup of your team, the forward core, deep, good defense, all-star goalie. And honestly, things just kind of started to go off the rails. I don't know if you can specify what point throughout the year. But for me, whether it was the 1-goal games, the 1-goal losses.
What do we have? I think 17. I think we had 17 of them.
Oh, no, you had more than that, buddy.
Yeah.
You had about 25.
The losses? Oh, yeah, 25. Okay,
I think, well, because it came like a theme for me working at Sportsnet. I think in March, at one point, you guys were leading the league. You didn't end the year leading it, but it was 25 plus. Is there anything, can you equate something to that? Like I've played in a bunch of those games too. At some point, that's just mental, right?
Yeah, and it's tough, right? I think if you look back on last year, like at the start, like you said, like I think everybody in the locker room thought, we got a really good team, and I still think, we didn't really make that much changes this year, and we do have a really good team, but for some, I guess, whatever reason, it just kind of didn't click for us. And then that was just kind of at the start, and there's a lot of new guys that came in, and you had to build chemistry and everything like that, and then it just kind of was just kind of the snowball effect, right? We lost so many of those 1-goal games, and just being in all those, that it was just, oh, here we go again type thing, right? So it was a definitely weird season. I know a lot of people, including myself, kind of weren't happy with the season. It felt like we could have, done a little more, and we should have, made the playoffs and, do all that. But yeah, it was a weird kind of up and down season, and I'm excited this year to kind of prove everybody kind of wrong that Calgary's still a good organization, good team, and we just got to kind of get back to the way we kind of all know how to play.
100%. And I'd imagine you're going to be there. I think we'll talk about your team coming up here in a bit, because I don't see the non-competitiveness, and not even calling it that, happening for too long. But in order to tell your story, man, I feel like you do have to kind of go back to the beginning. And the beginning for you is junior hockey, right? Undrafted to the OHL, undrafted to the NHL after playing there, back-to-back 100-point seasons. I want to ask about how you got to Barrie in the first place. After being undrafted, you were just simply a walk-on? Did they find you somewhere? Yeah,
so it was a little weird. Guy from high school knew the assistant coach, which was Todd Miller at the time, and he had a Wasaga camp kind of with the Barrie Colts, but it wasn't really anything to do with the Barrie Colts. I think it was more just the kind of name, and maybe a few prospects went there and all that. So this was, I guess, when I was 16. So then I went there, and it was in Wasaga, and guys stayed in like a little shack and practice, scrimmage, workout type camp, right? And the assistant coach, like I said, Todd Miller was there. Then the one day kind of Dale Howardchuk came out. So they saw me there for the first time, and I think I did pretty good there. And then they basically pulled me aside and said, look, we don't have any room at our main camp this year, but next year we'd love for you to, we'll watch you, and, we'll see you, and, keep our eyes out on you. But, next year we'd like for you to come to our camp. So I was like, yeah, okay. Like I kind of figured, maybe that's what they're kind of giving to everybody, right? I'm sure they're saying that to a lot of the kids at that camp, right? But so then the next year kind of happened, and I ended up going to Barrie Colts camp, and I ended up going to the Peterborough Pete's camp as well.
You went to? I didn't even know that was possible to do 2 camps, but
So I think it was a week before and week after each other. Yeah. So the week before, I think it was Peterborough's camp, and then the week after was Barrie's camp. But it wasn't like their main camp. I think it was almost like the rookie camp almost, right? Yeah. So they kind of had those at different timings. So I ended up going to Pete's first, and they actually made me sign some, basically saying that they have my rights and everything like that, right? So went there, had an okay camp, and then they said, okay, we'll let you know if we're going to invite you back to main camp. I said, okay, great. And I went to Barrie's camp the week after, and I did pretty well there too. And then right away, Barrie says, we want you to come back to our main camp. So then it was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's awesome, right? And we told them that we went to Peterborough's camp, and then I think they looked into it or something like that. And I ended up like, well, Peterborough kind of has your rights. You got to get a release or something. And I was like, oh, I don't even know what I was doing, right?
Yeah, 2 teams fighting over you.
Yeah, so then I had to call up Peterborough and basically said, I don't think that they were gonna, maybe they would invite me to main camp. I don't really know, but called them up and basically said, hey, I went to Barrie's camp, and is it possible that you guys would give me the release, right? And thankfully they said, yeah, it's not a big deal and this, that. So they were able to release me, and then I went to Barrie's camp, and there I did good, and Dale and the whole Barrie organization just really liked me right from the start. But it was weird because I was told I was always going NCAA, and the only reason why I was going out to these camps were just to kind of see if I even had a career in hockey, and just kind of measure myself off of all the first rounders and all the picks that people had, right? So then I went to Barrie's camp, like I said, and Dale brought us in. And
so Dale was a big part.
Yes, yeah.
Dale Howardchuk, for those listening, was a big part in bringing you in.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be here without Dale and the whole kind of organization. I don't know if I'd be playing hockey. I don't even know what I'd be doing, right? So I owe a lot to them, and it was funny. They called everybody in after the camp, and I was the first guy they called. And I was in the back of the line, just kind of waiting my turn, and then they ended up calling me first, went to the front, and they were like, "We want to sign you." And I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, I wasn't expecting this. I was always told you're too small, you're going NCAA, get your schooling." So then I had to go back outside, got my parents, and my mom started, saying, well, he was always supposed to go to school, and she started actually yelling and grilling Dale Howardchuk, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, why are you
Mama man's going toe-to-toe.
Yeah, right, Dale. Exactly. You just can't, because you lose your rights, right?
Yeah.
If you play whatever one game or you sign or whatever that rule is, right? So then we're like, we don't want to lose his rights. If you don't like him and that, don't take his rights away. And he's like, "Listen, my mom." Dale definitely thought my mom was crazy. He was like, "Listen, we like your son. That's why we want to sign him. That's why we want him here, right?" And she was like, "Oh." So then it was still no, I think, in my mom's mind. And then she actually went home and started Googling Dale and everything. And we ended up having the same birthday.
You and Howie have the same birthday?
Yeah. So then
it's
it was
meant
both,
to be. Check, looking at the signs.
So then it was kind of an omen, right? And then we said, you know what? Maybe it is a good idea that we sign in Barrie. And from there I just kind of kept playing and taking off. But I wouldn't be there without I guess the whole Barrie organization and Dale Howardchuk especially just kind of believing in me. All
it takes is one guy. Hey? Yeah. It's just if you have one guy in your corner, I couldn't specify someone right now. Darryl Levy's a guy that comes to mind when I think that. But in hockey, someone to lean on and to give you a chance. And I kind of want to ask you, like, what kept you going? Like through all this, like you're getting undrafted, getting cut from teams. Like at this point, like, what's keeping you determined? What's keeping you going?
Big part of it was, my parents, and my sisters always supporting me. They always said, what, Andrew, you're a good hockey player, and, you're small, but there's nothing you can do about it. So just go out there, keep, getting better, right? Do whatever you can, get bigger, get stronger, right? I couldn't do anything about my height, but I could, add weight and, add strength, keep getting quicker, all those little things so I think I just really focused on just trying to improve myself. And I think just the love of the game really just kept me going. I think I just honestly loved playing hockey, and it didn't really matter where. I think even when I was younger, I knew the OHL draft was a thing, but I wasn't really thinking about it or anything like that. It was just more, okay, I'm playing AAA. Let's go out and let's win this game, right? And it was just, honestly, it was one game at a time. It was one step. And then when it got to that point saying, okay, well, you got to make a team here basically, or else you're never going to play, right? Then it kind of got more serious for me. And but I think just the love of the game and, having that support system with my family really just helped me keep playing and keep doing what I love doing.
By the time you get to pro hockey, that's where a lot of the smaller guys will start to get weeded out, right? The physicality, the content, the fighting. You're playing against men.
Yeah.
Was that
your size?
Like my size, exactly.
Yeah.
And mean too, right? Yeah. And man, you went into Stockton, the Pacific Division, where at that time, Ontario, San Jose, these teams are big and tough and strong. How much of an adjustment or I guess, change was that for you in turning pro and playing pro?
Yeah, that was definitely an adjustment, because then you're in the OHL, you're with your billet family, and they're doing they're helping you out around the house as well, right? Where it was in Stockton, it was Rasmus and I, Anderson, our first year, and we didn't know what we were doing.
Not a clue,
right? So it wasn't even almost about hockey. It was just all how about to live, right? Yeah. We got to go shopping for groceries. We have to get a car. We have to pay rent. We got to get insurance and everything, right? And we're like, I don't even know first step on how to do any of this, right? So it's crazy, the lifestyle off the ice and how you have to be an adult, right? That's what it comes down to, right?
Speaking of car, you got to tell me. We might as well talk about the car, get it off the table.
Yeah, we ended up getting a blue Saturn View.
What year?
I think it was 2004, I believe, right? It was nice. It got to point A to point
this
B.
This thing was unbelievable.
But the problem was, because we were 20, you couldn't even rent a car. Right?
So that was why you got in the first place, right?
Yeah,
that you could not get a rental if you guys tried.
No, right? And I think you had to be 21 to get a rental. And then at 21, they'll still charge you an arm and a leg every day that you have it. So then we were having some crazy number that was too expensive to pay down in the minors. So it was like, okay, you can't do that. And then we ended up saying, okay, we gotta get some car. We gotta do something here, right? So we ended up, I think it was $2,000 each, and we ended up getting this blue Saturn Vue. That was a pretty good car, though.
I know, it was great. It was like the team car, man. Guys, you'd just be tossing around the car. Yeah, you could take it, you could borrow it. Me and I think half borrowed it a couple days to go grocery shopping. Yeah. Where's the whereabouts of the car now? What happened to this thing? Didn't it break down on the way to Sac or something?
Yeah, that was one story. We kind of, what's it called again? Kind of broke down on the way to San Fran. The 1 year, it was just the battery though. We just changed the battery. The battery died on us. So then, not the smartest play by Rasmus, but when the battery light comes on, and he's decided to kind of take the keys out, and then that's when it kind of died on us, right? Yeah. But I think if he kept that on, we would have been okay. So, so we had to tow that from San Fran. But I think it's now with there. I think it probably got sold or something. But we gave it to Pete, the trainer down in Stockton there. We kind of, Razzie and I were both kind of getting called up, and we're like, all right, like, if we don't go back, Pete, like, here's the keys. If we don't go, like, if we go back, sure, we'll use it. But if we don't go back, you can have fun with it, right? So he did what he did with it. I'm pretty sure he must have sold it. I don't know if that thing's still running right now.
There's no way it can be. But it'd be a miracle if it did. Yeah. Tell me about Stockton, man. I'll never forget. You mentioned San Fran. I remember flying into San Fran after I got sent down from Calgary. I had an Uber take me whatever the hour and a half drive to Stockton, and when I got there, I just didn't know. You're laughing already before you even say anything. It's like, I honestly was looking around and I was like, this isn't real. Like, you can't have players playing here. I think the next day, Mange, we had two Stockton. I want to ask if you hear this. We had two Stockton PD police come in. I don't know if they did it every year. Yeah. We sat in that video room and we had like a 45-minute meeting on the do's and don'ts and the ins and outs of Stockton. And I remember him saying, "Don't
wear blue, don't wear red. It's all Bloods and Crips related."
Oh, the blue and the red. I got to tell you about me going to. I did a school reading in Stockton, and I was wearing my red jersey, and one of the kids looked up to me and was like, you're not allowed to be wearing red. And from then on into doing school readings, we had to wear our whites. We weren't allowed to wear any red, which was insane. But the Stockton PD coming in and telling us, like, when you get back from road trips, like when you're on Fremont, don't even stop at red lights. Like,
said if someone comes up to your car, just run them over. He said, run them over and we'll deal with it the next day. That's honestly what he said. And he said, if they get to you or if they stop your car and get in your car, you might not be here, so it's worth it to run them over and deal with it the next day, is what he said. And I was blown away when
I'm sitting there in the meeting like this, stunned, looking around like, is this
how is
for
there
real?
A team here?
Exactly. And I think generally I got to learn that it was a great place. The fans were awesome. Like, they had a great booster club. You can't take anything away from that at the rink, but it's a tough town, buddy.
Yeah. There was nothing, even after a game, right? I remember if you wanted something to eat, like, there was nothing open. Like, nothing was open past 10, because if anything was open, right, it was getting probably robbed or
100%,
broken into, or that's how it was there, right? So we couldn't even get a slice of pizza because everything was closed.
It was McDonald's and back to your house, honestly.
Yeah, there was not much there, right? But
I found that I struggled a lot with it. I as good as that dressing room was for me, in terms of how all the characters we had there, playing there can be a real detriment to your mental health. It's to the rink and back every day. You're really far from friends and family. Friends and family don't necessarily want to come visit.
No.
I feel like I struggled a lot with that over the year, and I wanted to know, because you're a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, I wanted to know maybe if you did a little bit as well.
I don't think I was too bad, because I think I was young, and this was kind of my first kind of pro experience, so I was kind of take everything game by game. And, I think it was also good that we had a close team, right? All the years that I've been there down in Stockton, we had the best group of guys, right? So it was, if you wanted to hang out with somebody, you couldn't really go out or do anything, but you could go to each other's place, whatever, have a few beers or whatever it is, right? And, hop in the pool or something like that, right? Or go golfing, right? That was really all you can really do. But it was, thankfully we always had a good team and, close group of guys, and it was always fun that way down in Stockton.
And that's one thing I thought too, was how close the team was. And and drive into that practice rink when we just load up all the cars. And you want to tell the fans maybe a bit about Oak Park?
Yeah, and then we would have to get dressed kind of usually at the, I guess, Stockton Arena, but sometimes, and then we'd have to, I guess, all hop in our cars and
boards up to here.
Yeah.
Nails sticking out of the walls in the corners.
Nails sticking out. The boards were there. Glass was there.
There were some drills we couldn't do in the one corner because the puck would just slide under and huge holes.
Yeah, the ice there was not good. It was incredible how...
Like, looking back, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, I haven't even been in a rink ever in my lifetime as bad as that one really was. But, you know what, it was a cold arena, actually, so the ice wasn't that bad, actually. For sure. But, just the whole layout of it. I think, I remember being down there with somebody. I forget who it was. Could have been, like, Dubes. And we were bag skating or doing some type of hard drill, and there was a disco ball. I don't remember the disco ball in the middle.
Silver glittering ball.
So he's like, somebody's got to shoot a puck at that, so we don't have to skate and just shatter it on the ice. So never ended up doing that. I think guys were kind of aiming for it. They were pretty close, but never ended up breaking it.
Well, back to hockey, I guess more on the hockey side. You mentioned starting to get called up with Raz there, and that's what I noticed was you were just dominating this league. You, Janko, Mark Jankowski, and Garnet Hathaway on the first line, playing power play. It was pure domination of the AHL. And I think it got to a point where you have to say the size is the factor, right? Teams are going to be maybe a little more, concerned about calling you up. But there was a certain point where they couldn't just say no to you anymore. You weren't giving them an option. But they were bringing you up, and you're playing 5, 6, 7 minutes, no specials, fourth line, right? Sometimes on your off wing, you would come back down, and I just remember seeing the frustration and being like, man, like I'm going from playing 22, 23 a night here, both specials, to nothing. Like, can you talk about that frustration and, kind of some of the conversations that we had even when I was playing with you?
Yeah, it was weird, right? I think actually they called that line was actually really good in Stockton there, where they ended up calling all three of us up, right? I was the last one, but they called.
By the end of the year, none of you guys were there.
Yeah. So that was funny then that way, but it was weird when getting called up, right? Because I think for me, it was more I was a shy, kind of timid type player until I guess you kind of got to know me, and I was kind of used to everybody, right? I think that's how I was in Barrie. That's how I was when I first went to Stockton. I probably said 2 words to everybody, right? I didn't just kind of kept to myself, but that was kind of the same way I think when I got called up. And I think the hardest thing for me wasn't even that I was playing 5-10 minutes if you're lucky a night, right? That's okay, right? But I'm like, okay, it was more the fact that I wasn't even playing my game. I was lining up, against Sidney Crosby or Patrick Kane, right? It was like, oh my goodness, right? It was more starstruck than anything, where I wasn't playing my game. I was, shy, timid, and you're in the NHL dressing room, and all those things kind of came to factor for me. But then I think when I got sent down the first or second time, then it kind of hit me. It was like, okay, well, that was cool and all, but I really didn't play my game. Hopefully I kind of didn't blow my chance here, right? And the next time I got called up, it was more of okay, don't kind of dip your toe in the water, just kind of jump right in, right? And that's when I kind of, even though I was playing 5-10 minutes a night, at least I was playing my game, and I had flashes of good plays, and I was controlling the play and do whatever I could with those 5-10 minutes, and hopefully gain the coach's trust, and keep working up the ranks, and eventually get more ice time, right? So I think the biggest thing for me was just confidence, kind of when I got called up, and just play like I was down in Stockton, right? I think that was the biggest kind of the hardest thing for me to do.
Was that the message conveyed to you? Was like, just go out and do your thing. Try not to be too scared, because confidence breeds confidence, man. When you can sense that there's confidence in your coaching staff to you have a little bit more to go out there and maybe try a couple different things that you would in Stockton, where you probably wouldn't up in Calgary.
Yeah, that was exactly what it is. It wasn't like I was playing bad when I first got called up, but I wasn't doing anything to kind of stand out. And I think when I first got called up, my mentality was like, okay, I don't want to screw up here, right? So maybe when I was at the red line, it was like, okay, I just dumped it in. Even though I had time and space, I just dumped it in and chased it. Where the next time I got called up, it was more, okay, Andrew, make a play here, right? Like, you can skate the puck in, you can delay, you can go down, try to score, right? Try to deke the D-man or do something, right? It was more of I was trying to play with more confidence, trying to play the game that I know I can, and just kind of do what I was doing down in Stockton up in the NHL, really.
Confidence grows confidence, man. And you end up making the World Championship roster, which to me, that summer of 2021 is a culmination of things that led up to that. And I understand the Worlds it's not the Olympics, right? It's not, I'm not taking anything away from it.
No,
but it's still a really cool experience. And you have to be pretty talented and have a pretty good year to be there. What a crazy makeup for a team, just in terms of all the different guys looking back at that roster.
Yeah.
It was crazy because it was COVID. You showed up 3 games late. Yeah. I read an article about maybe it was Toff to Foley saying how you just revitalized this team.
Yeah.
You ended up going off for whatever 7-11 MVP. Tell me about this tournament, man. Like I feel like you just broke out of nowhere. It's like people knew, but it's like this kid's here, right?
Yeah, that was a interesting kind of tournament, but I was so kind of honored and happy to kind of be selected. I never went to camp even for Team Canada, nothing for World Juniors, nothing for whatever it is, U18s, nothing, and not even a single, not even a letter or something like that, right? So when they kind of asked me, I kind of jumped at it, and I was pretty excited. Obviously, it's kind of disappointing because usually it means you're kind of out of the playoffs, but looking back on it, it was great that I was able to go. And like you said, we were kind of 3 games I couldn't play the 3 games because of COVID. Us in Vancouver had to play 4 kind of makeup games that were going on. Well, I think the playoffs were still going. The playoffs just started, and we're still playing the regular season just to make up the games that were missed, right? So after that was done, I was able to go, and I knew Canada was going to be good, obviously, and then they kind of had that rough start, and I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, boy.
I was in my room because we had to quarantine and do all that. I was watching the games on TV, and I'm like, okay, this isn't good. We're going to be out of contention here before I even play a game.
Were you just chomping at the bit in your hotel room?
So I was like, oh, man, I just played 4 meaningless games down in Calgary to come here, and I was like, I'm going to play more meaningless games here. That's the worst, right? When nothing's on the line, right? So I was thankful that we were able to, at least play one. And then, I don't know, when I went there, it just kind of clicked with all the guys, and, it was a great group of guys. And, everyone just, obviously, I think weren't happy with the results that the team was getting. And when I just came, it was just, played on the line with Brownie and Henrique, and, we just played awesome together, right? So it was a lot of fun, that tournament, and, happy I won, and happy that I guess we won gold, right? It was always this kind of a dream, kind of winning a medal and everything like that. So it was kind of cool that we were able to, get gold.
Fun to have Brownie back in the Pacific. You're going to have some good battles with him this year, right?
Yeah, the Edmonton-Calgary kind of feud isn't going to help, I don't think, our relationship there.
Well, the next year, foreshadowing, that's the biggest year of your career. And I can only assume that having a summer like that provides you with some confidence coming into the year, right? Were you feeling good about yourself mentally, physically after that tournament and after the summer, kind of coming in and looking at the year that you ended up having, scoring a career high 35?
Yeah. I think just going into that camp, right, it was just, it felt good that, this summer kind of ended off pretty well for me. And the season ended off pretty well for me. And I think just going into camp, I was just, excited to kind of get going, right? And I think, I just got a good opportunity to play and playing with some good players, and just kind of everything just kind of gelled that season. And it was a great season, right? And scoring 35 was, if I look back on that, 10 years ago, if I told myself I'd be scoring 35 goals in the NHL,
National Hockey League.
Yeah, I would have said, yeah, okay, right? I would have not have believed you at all. So, yeah, it was a good season, right? And
pretty impressive, dude. I know it's tough to talk about yourself, and it's like I just look at I always try to find out how, and it's a tough, awkward asking you how, because one of the things that stands out to me right away is 7 in the first 6, but 19 of your first 20 on the road, most in the NHL. Yeah, the most insane splits I've seen from a player. For me, I used to hate playing on the road in the AHL, but on the road in the NHL, I loved it. Yeah, you get to see different buildings, you get fired up. Was it something about playing on the road at that point or were you doing something different in your routine? How do you explain that?
Yeah, I've not no clue. Right? I know, like, even when I was on that kind of streak, everybody was kind of asking me, and I got no clue why. And then I started getting frustrated that I couldn't score at home, and I was like, why can't I score at home? But then every time I went on the road, I kind of made up for it. So it was a weird kind of stat, and I don't know why, or maybe I got excited, like you said, when you hear some boos or someone yelling at you, it fires you up a little more. I don't know what it was, but it was a weird kind of stat that, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
You were talking about Edmonton. You end up playing BOA, Battle of Alberta playoffs versus Edmonton that year. I'm Oilers alumni, obviously. Yeah. Sometimes I lean heavy on them, but I had no idea where that series was going to go. Yeah. And you had a great series yourself. It just didn't fall for you guys, but what memories do you have of that playoff series versus the Oil?
Yeah, it was an intense kind of series, right? It was, I think every time we play them, whether it's regular season, whether it's exhibition game, whatever it is, it's always just so, I don't know, there's always so much energy, a lot of, guys hitting, just a lot of passion in those games, right? And I think playoffs were 10 times that or whatever it was. So every time you had the puck, there was always someone on you, and it was just always so intense, right? And I think that series, I know they won, I think it was 4-1, right, the series, but it was always so close. I think we were tied, I think maybe 4 games kind of going into the third, right? So it was there for us. And I know that they kind of won and all that, but yeah, it was just a really close season, or really close series, and it was just, it was a lot of fun to kind of play in those type of playoff kind of games, right?
I mean, at this point in your career now, you're pretty established. I think you're a household name at this point, for me at least. And working in sports media, everyone's going to know who you are, but it's crazy to think, small town kid from Bolton, and like everything that you'd been through, all the bumps and all the bruises and the grind and the adversity, and proving everybody wrong along the way, right? Proving people wrong. What kind of advice would you give to players in your position, or players coming up, I guess, dealing with a lot of the same things that you did?
Yeah, I'd say honestly, just keep playing, right? When you kind of get knocked down and, get cut and things like that, don't use that as almost fuel and energy, right? And that was a big thing for me, was, I would getting cut from junior A teams. And then, then I made the OHL. It was like, okay, I can't make the Patriots, but, I'm good enough to make, the Barrie Colts, right? So it was just about, just keep playing, and, someone's going to eventually find you if you're a good player, right? And just keep working hard and just keep getting better at yourself, right? It's just kind of master your craft, and someone's going to give you an opportunity if you're a good player, right? And that's kind of what I kind of believed in, and just kind of be ready for that opportunity, right?
I feel like that's the epitome of you, is you can only play so well for so long before someone's going to notice and take notice of you, right?
Yeah, and that was kind of my mentality, was okay, like, be ready when you get called, because in your size and everything like that, you're gonna probably only get this one opportunity, right? So you got to be ready for it, or else it's kind of almost gonna pass you by. So I think when I was younger, and even now, right, I just train a lot, and I want to stay in shape and want to get bigger, faster, stronger, right? That's always my goal, and kind of every off season is just to keep training, keep mastering, kind of keep bettering yourself, right? And that's I think my mentality, and that's why I feel like I am a good hockey player. It's just from my hard work, right? I wasn't the most talented kid, and wasn't the biggest, wasn't the strongest, wasn't the fastest, whatever it is. It was, I think, I just was almost the hardest working player, I'd say, right? And I still try to keep the mentality going forward, right? And just kind of use all the people that didn't believe in me, and just kind of use that as fire. And I don't know, that's why I think I just kind of have success now.
You enjoy that?
Proving people wrong. Yeah.
You were one of the guys that Daryl spoke about pretty well from time to time. And Daryl Sutter notoriously didn't love small players, or calling up small players, notoriously didn't give compliments to his players in the media without it kind of being backhanded or sarcastic. And he mentioned you saying you were the complete package, and talking about how good your shot was and how strong you were on the puck. What was different this year? And I feel like something might have changed, and I feel like not everyone can play for Daryl, but your relationship with Daryl, how was that different this year, if any?
Yeah, no, I I like Daryl. I respect Daryl. He's a winner, right? And that's something that I have kind of yet to do. Sorry, and he's done it, right? So he knows hockey and he knows the game and he knows all that. I think just this year it just didn't click with our team, right? I know he's a demanding coach, and he's gonna yell and maybe give it to you, but he's doing that to better the team, right? And if he needs to yell and try to get you going, and that's his kind of mentality and mindset to kind of help the team, right? So I understood it kind of from that way, right? Kind of grew up with an Italian dad there that kind of liked to yell and maybe scream and push me like that, right? And but I know that that doesn't work for everybody, right? And I think that's maybe what happened this year. It was just kind of guys may have got a little sick of him and maybe something like that, right? But for me personally, I've kind of liked Daryl, and I don't mind his kind of coaching strategies and all that, and I think he was good for me, right? Right, he taught me a lot, and it is what it is when the kind of coach gets fired. But I think he was good, and I'm hoping that this year is going to be different with a new coach, and that kind of gets everybody going, right? It's a kind of different look and new energy, and everything like that with Huska hopefully this year.
Husky coming in, and we both played for Husky in Stockton. I think it'll be a good thing for you guys. But talking, the one thing that I remember about Husky and your and I relationship is he used to make me watch your tape about how you protected the puck. Like he would show me clips of you because I was 6'4", and I mean I honestly, it was one of the hardest parts of my game, and looking back, one of the things that I should have worked on more, staying strong on pucks. But you, out of anyone I've played with, were pound for pound, the strongest on the puck that I've ever played with. We used to do drills in practice, 2-on-2, 3-on-3s down low, where Husky would just blow down the drill eventually because you'd have it the whole time. And the way you worked your edges, and it was like you could put a puck in the corner with you and let's say we were playing Ontario, Curtis McDermott. Didn't matter how big or strong the guy was, you were coming out with it, man. Yeah. And I'm kind of wondering, like, for you, is that a mentality thing? Like, you are not winning this battle. You are not getting this puck off me. Is it physical? You work on that in the summer. I just never, honestly, man, I've never seen anything as good as you've done it.
Yeah, no, thank you. But I didn't even know Husk was showing you clips like that. Maybe I'll tell him this year. Yeah, no, but no, I don't know. I think just kind of that's what I've always kind of trained, right? I have to be kind of quick, get in there and kind of get out, right? If we were to go in a battle right now, you could just pin me to the wall and I'm kind of done, right? So my mentality was to kind of get in there, get low. I'm obviously small, so I kind of use my center of gravity and just kind of get stable and kind of just quickly try to get in, get out, right? So that was kind of always my mentality, was just to be quick, right? Because I know if I'm not an effective player when I have to stop and, maybe dig for a puck or anything like that. It was more, okay, I got to have it and, keep my feet moving so that they're almost chasing me, right? So
you find you can't get stopped, you can't get stagnant. It's about like feeling the pressure and like continuing motion, staying moving.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Obviously, there's times in there where you got to dig and work for it and do all that. But it's more of the fact that, if I can keep skating, keep moving and, have the puck on my stick and just try to defend and kind of, when you pump your leg or do something like that, right? It helps me a lot more than me kind of being standstill, right? And, going to guys up against your height, I kind of learned that at a young age, right? You got to always kind of keep your feet moving, right? So, that's kind of how I've always kind of looked at it, right? Because if you kind of get me stopped and you could just pin me up against the board and just hold me there the whole game, right? I wouldn't be able to move. Right?
That's the problem I had as a big guy was I would get just pushed up, get pins, deep pin, center comes in, grabs it, and plays dead. And then coach yells at me, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I'll play the rest of the game. It's like, did you have someone in the league that you look at? Like, I feel like Sid, when I watch Sid protect pucks when he's mohawking and when he has exactly what you said, one hand out all the way, is there someone in the league that you've looked at and tried to, like, I don't know, emulate?
Yeah, he was kind of a big one for, protecting pucks. And, he's, big big legs, strong, all that, right? Yeah. So he's like that. I think growing up, I was always watching Martin St. Louis though as a kid, right? So that was he was kind of my idol, and you know, he was a small player, and he was getting in there and winning puck battles, and obviously he was a great NHL player, right? So it was along the lines of, you know, if he's a small player playing in the NHL, then why can't I, right? So he was the guy I kind of tried to model my game after a little bit, right?
Looking into this year, what's the outlook for the team? I know we talked about it earlier this year, but like you said, you have similar roster. Huss comes in, but I still love your squad, and I'd love to see some intensity and some fierceness come back to the BOA rivalry, and you guys really compete in the Pacific here. How's it looking for you next year?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of get back, and we made some, I guess, made a coaching change there and GM change and everything like that. So it's going to be, I think, a new feel kind of around the rink, and I think, I think we have a great team, right? I know, we were high on everyone's kind of ranks last year, right? So we didn't really, we lost, maybe a couple guys here, but we haven't really lost too many. So I think just for guys, I think everyone's kind of maybe a little frustrated and annoyed how kind of the season went last year and how the media is kind of treating us maybe this year and all that, right? So I think, guys are going to come in with a, chip on their shoulder and just, be excited to come back and just play and work hard and train, right? And just almost prove everybody wrong and have that mentality, right? So I'm excited for this year and just kind of seeing everybody and kind of getting back on the ice and, getting training camp going, right? It's been a long kind of summer for us.
I'd imagine you're excited to go there, and there's this whole stigma coming around, and I'd say in a larger sense it's about playing in Canada, but it's of guys not wanting to play in Calgary. And obviously it looks that way because a couple guys have been traded out of there, and for the life of me, man, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
From being there, like I got a brother and a sister that live there. Beautiful town, close to the mountains. Yeah, so what? It's cold and taxes are a little high. Whatever. It's the NHL. Saddle Dome. It's old. I love the Saddle Dome. It's an iconic building. And I know you're getting a new building. And to me, there's this attitude that's come over the league is like that Calgary hasn't become a destination where players don't want to sign anymore. And to me, I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there too. I don't know. I really kind of enjoy Calgary. Of course, I think there maybe are some, better destinations if you kind of want the beach or if you want, better taxes or things like that, obviously. But as the city of Calgary, I love it there, and just, like you said, the winters might be cold and all that, but you're half the time you're not even there as well, right? So it's always kind of sunny and shining kind of in Calgary too. So it's different weather, but, I have a great time there, and, I'm not really affected by the cold. I can't really go on the beach that long anyways, or else I'll burn.
Get a little burnt, pale skin there.
Yeah. So, no, I've had a great time kind of in Calgary, and, they've been nothing but a, good city, kind of good organization. And we've always had a great team in that locker room. So hopefully, I know there's kind of a lot of question marks kind of around some guys, but I mean, hopefully that they're able to kind of, work out their differences kind of with, management and all that, because there also is a kind of a business side to it and everything. But yeah, those are good people, good guys. So hopefully, they're able to kind of all stay, and, we can have a good season this year and continue to grow as a team.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
good to see you. Yes. Truly one of the most underrated players in hockey. One of my favorite teammates to play with. The Bread Man. Yes. I wanted to ask you, did we get that nickname start? Did Kramer start that, or were people calling you before that? I feel like it might have started there, but
I don't even know where that kind of started. Yeah, Kramer likes a good nickname. So
either way, I just remember you walking to Stockton every day with a smile on your face, and it was a pleasure being your teammate. So I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
And do some good things in Calgary this year. Not too well.
No, just better than Edmonton, right?
Yeah. But good luck, man. I wish you nothing but the best.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy.
Yep.